Hey guys, I've been having trouble getting into my normal swing of things when it comes to video making, so I decided to try something new this time. Enjoy! The 8Bitdo Lite Bluetooth Gamepad. It's good! Usually. Wait, I should probably explain why. Okay, so the 8Bitdo Lite Bluetooth Gamepad. Inside the box, you get the controller, an instruction manual, and a USB-A to USB-C cable. This controller is just over 11.5 centimeters wide and just under 6.5 centimeters tall. Or, in American gamer units, about yay big. The controller is small compared to most other controllers out there, but it doesn't feel flimsy. It doesn't bend when I apply pressure, and can withstand a 4-foot drop without any apparent loss in functionality. Okay, I'll address the elephant in the room. This controller uses the Nintendo button layout, has directional buttons instead of D-pads, and has D-pads instead of joysticks. This means that the left and right D-pads register as left and right joysticks respectively, and that the directional buttons register at the D-pad. This has mixed results depending on the game. Admittedly, most 2D games run perfectly fine with this. Sonic Mania works perfectly fine with the controller. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid works perfectly fine with it too. Cuphead works fine, but I am really out of practice. Remember that one guy who had trouble on the tutorial with his first attempt, but then later managed to beat the first stage with no retries? Yeah, I'm still worse than him. I've had this game for months. Fantasy Strike works fine. For Fantasy Strike. I actually have a bit more to say about this game, but I'll put that in a later video. Maybe. The King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match works better with this controller than most of my others. I was actually able to do the special moves most of the time. I managed to beat the Orochi team. Alright. And last but not least, Dragon Ball FighterZ works fine with this. Other 2D games don't work quite as well. The big one we're all thinking of is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It feels weird with this controller. 9 times out of 10, pressing the left and right buttons on the D-pad will make your character dash, and makes up, left, and right tilt attacks nigh impossible without remapping the right stick, or D-pad. Admittedly, it's easier to use Terry's command attacks, but the trade-off in control isn't worth it, at least not to me. Ninjin, Clash of Carrots, is also kind of weird. It's also kind of weird when you want to control. It's also kind of weird controlling with this controller. This game has you and your opponents running around in an arena and fighting at the same time. You can attack with your sword or throw projectiles. The direction of your projectile, or usually shuriken, is controlled with the right stick. Normally this would give you 360 degrees to aim with, but with the D-pad you only get 8. There's a bit of aim correction and it's not impossible to play, but I'm having a lot easier of a time using the Joy-Cons. 3D games work, but usually have at least some kinks. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 works well with this controller, but if you're like me, you're probably going to end up confusing the D-pad with the directional buttons and trying to throw a bomb by moving to the right. Muscle memory, you know. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 takes some work to get used to, but even then still feels wrong with me. I think my biggest problems are shoulder buttons. Whenever I try to use them, I mix up which ones are the triggers and end up mispressing. It's also harder to push the D-pad to the send compared to a normal joystick. No More Heroes plays great with this controller. There are a lot of moments where you have to spin around the right joystick or press a direction or move a direction, and the D-pad's able to handle this masterfully. Now I don't have to worry about wearing out my right stick while playing this. Sure, you lose the ability to walk and make slow turns while driving a motorcycle, but the experience is far from unplayable. I extremely recommend using this controller for this game, and I extremely recommend this game. 9 out of 10. Blacklight and approved. If you're wondering why I talked about No More Heroes for so long, well, barely giving Fantasy Strike any time. I've wanted to play it for years now, and ports of it and its sequel came out on my birthday, so, it feels special. And Sonic Adventure 2 is playable, but you miss out on the ability to do slight direction changes in SA2 and KOF 98UM weren't released on the Switch. What's going on here? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that the 8BitDo controller has an X input mode. So all I have to do is just flip from S to X, and boom! Now you have a perfectly good controller for PCs and most Android devices. The caveat is that the buttons act like using the Xbox layout, so B is A is B, X and Y are swapped, you get the idea. Another weird thing is that Steam recognizes the 8BitDo controller as an Xbox 360 controller when plugged in directly, but as an Xbox One controller when you're using Bluetooth. Oh, also, while your computer could recognize the controller in Switch mode when plugged in, none of the buttons worked when I tried doing it, so you're basically stuck with the Xbox layout unless you remap the buttons. So, yeah, for just $25, this controller is a great value and works with most games. But overall, this gets a black light and seal of approval, whatever that's worth. Thanks for watching.